Thanks, Chris. Governor Romney, in that same NBC Wall Street Journal poll that Chris mentioned, 55% of Americans say victory is just not possible in Iraq. They've made up their minds on this war. Why shouldn't they have a president who will listen?
Well, if you wanted to have a president that just followed the polls, all we need to do is plug in our TVs and have them run the country. But that's not what America wants. It's not what America needs. We need leadership that's strong and that shows America what we can do to lead the world. Ronald Reagan was a president of strength. His philosophy was a philosophy of strength, a strong military, a strong economy, and strong families. With regards to Iraq, there are a lot of people that say, let's just get out. I want to get our troops home as soon as I possibly can. But at the same time, I recognize we don't want to bring them out in such a precipitous way that we cause a circumstance that would require us to come back. Because if we leave in the wrong way, the Iranians could grab the Shia South, or Al-Qaeda could play a dominant role among the Sunnis, or you could have the border with Turkey destabilized by the Kurds. And as a result, you could have regional conflict develop. And with that occurring, you could have our neighbors get involved, our friends get involved around Iraq, and we could have to come back again. That's why it's so essential for us at this critical time to support the al-Maliki effort, to bring strength and stability to Baghdad, to Al-Anbar. Hopefully there are good signs that we're going to see increasing, and we'll be able to bring our troops home safely.
Time, Governor. Let me go to Senator Brownback for the next question. Recent polls in the Islamic world reveal a sea of hostility toward the United States, feeding what General Petraeus calls the central front of al-Qaeda in Iraq. How do we win this war if every dead terrorist is so easily replaced?
I think we win the war by standing up for our values and working with those who will work with us. I think you have to remember that while we're in a war on terrorism, there are a number of people that are with us, that work with us around the world, and we also in the Islamic world. We're partnering with a number of moderate Muslim regimes, and that's something I think we need to convey into the Muslim world as well, that these are groups, the Al-Qaeda group, the militant Islamic fascists, they're trying to unseat moderate Muslim regimes. And I think we need to engage those regimes in Pakistan and regimes in Egypt, as long as we also confront those regimes like in Iran, that are the lead. Iran is the lead sponsor of terrorism around the world, and we've got to be very confrontational and very aggressive there. So it's to engage those that will work with us, contain and confront those that won't, and convey that to the Muslim world.
How do you deal with the problem revealed in the recent Zogby poll that in countries that are moderate, you mentioned, like Jordan, Morocco, Turkey, another Islamic country, 10–12% of the people support us, the rest are angry at us. Doesn't that create a sea of recruitment opportunity for our enemy? And I'm just asking, do we have to reduce that temperature of hatred before we win the war, or simply continue to fight the terrorists?
Well, I think we have to do both, Chris. I mean, you have to engage in those countries. We have to engage in Jordan, and I think we need to engage with all the tools of state that we have. Economic tools, along with foreign relations, diplomatic and military tools as well. But at the same time, when we do that, you've got to confront. You've got to confront those that are coming after us, and they've been doing this for over a decade, coming at us from before 9/11. We cannot be weak on this whatsoever.
John.
Governor Huckabee, I'd like to get your views about how you balance loyalty and accountability. Would you have fired Don Rumsfeld before last November?
I think I would have done that before the election. I certainly wouldn't have said that we are not going to do it and then right after the election done so. But that's the president's call. Clearly, there was a real error in judgment, and that primarily had to do with listening to a lot of folks who were civilians in suits and silk ties and not listening enough to the generals with mud and blood on their boots and medals on their chests. Those generals told us early on it would take 300,000 troops to successfully go in and stabilize Iraq. Instead, we gave them a limited number of troops and a budget and said, you have to do it with this. I think that's something now we understand was a mistake. But rather than simply walking away and leaving the Middle East in a complete disastrous chaos that will spread to the region and to the rest of the world, it's important that we finish the job, that we do it right, rather than have to go back and someday do it over.